Hey everyone, this is Innovators Mindset with Tara Estep and Eric Rosburg. There we go. All right. I asked if I could say this. I'm going to be joining you all in Cedar Falls in August of, I was going to say 2017, but holy, hit my head. No, that is
August 19th.
That's the last time I was in. I was at AEA. You reminded me in August of 2026. And we are sitting here talking about some of the amazing things. I will tell you, just sitting talking with both of you, the pride that you have in your school community is pretty amazing. So I feel really blessed I'm going to be there, but also blessed that you can share some of the incredible things that you and your staff are doing together. So I'm really excited to join you all. So Tara, we're going to start with you. If you can just tell us who you are, what you do today, and how you got there, I think it's a really great place to start.
Sure. Well, we are so excited also to have you. Come to Cedar Falls. Is going to be such a great way to kick off the school year. So thank you very much for that.
Pleasure.
I'm Tara Estep. I am the Executive Director of Elementary Education in Cedar Falls. And I grew up here, really, as a teacher. I started my first year teaching in Cedar Falls and am in my 23rd year. So I've been a teacher in the district, a principal in the district, and now at central office. And there's no better place. We're excited for you to come and experience it and see it.
Well, I'm going to ask you this before we get over to Eric. One of the things that just drives me bonkers is, like factory model of education and like nothing's changed in 100 years. So I'm like, nah, lots has changed. There's a lot of things changed. So you've been in the same community 23 years. So you've seen some of those changes. So like when you think about that, like what has been like the biggest growth area where you've seen some of those significant shifts in the positive in your own school community?
So I think our school community has continued to change and evolve, but in a really positive way. We have a university in town, which is fantastic, and is a college of education, is superb and one of the best in the state. And we continue to have great partnerships with them. Our families are wildly supportive of education as well. And I would say one of the things that we have evolved into and changed is professional learning communities over the years. We started these about 15 years ago, which is one of the things you're coming in to help us kick off is a PLC mini institute for our staff on August 19th. And we just continue to just make it better and refine and polish. So we try really hard not to just move to the next shiny thing, but to really know what is good and what is working for our students and how do we refine and polish. And that's what our school year goals are really all about for next school year, is just making things a little bit better, and really supporting our students and looking at them student by student and skill by skill and just digging into to help support them.
Now, I wrote a book on innovation, Innovators Mindset, and a lot of people will talk about innovation and they are focused on the opposite, what you just said, the new and shiny thing. I'm like, no, it's actually about knowing your stuff so well that you have the ability to improvise to do this. But if we are always moving from initiative to initiative to initiative, it's like, hey, like we're doing this new thing, we didn't get the old thing down, like you can't keep up. So I just love that you are focused on that, because I think we get that lost in so many ways in education. It's like, oh, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. And it's like, but like, do you know the stuff that you've done in the past? And I think that becomes really, really powerful.
And I think there's a balance, right? There's a balance of making sure that our foundation and our DNA is really professional learning communities and making that better. And we have people in our district that are amazing and are on the cutting edge, and we want to be able to offer them opportunities to try new things. We know students are different today than they were 23 years ago when I started. And that's one of the initiatives that we are really starting with is durable skills. They're coming to us differently as kindergartners. They have been isolated more on screens more, less opportunities to interact and use skills like collaboration and communication and critical thinking. So we are now, as a K-12 system, looking at how do we infuse that into everything that we're doing and provide opportunities for that explicit instruction in some of those durable skills. We have folks that are really interested in AI and in integrating some of those best practices. So I think there's really a balance, right? Of not stopping innovation and folks that are really interested in trying new things, and making sure that as a system of almost 6,000 kids, that the things that we choose to change as a full system have really been researched, and we know that they're working, which for us, professional learning communities does.
And we're going to get more into that because I think I'll ask you pretty quick after we talk to Eric for a little bit of how you've done PLCs where there's a real process of ownership. But Eric, tell us about you. Like, I know you're first of all, do you and Tara like get into fights over, because you're elementary and high school? Is that like a big thing? You argue all the time, or, is that, because I know you're counterparts, right? Like you work together, and it's like, I love that because I think a lot of times it's like elementary's over here, high school's over there. And it's like, no, actually there's a lot we can learn from each other. There's some differences, obviously. So tell us a little bit about your work and how you got there, Eric.
Yeah, I'm Eric Rosburg. I am Tara's counterpart. I'm the executive director of secondary education, and Tara and I worked together for a really long time in different capacities. And so, kind of the neat thing about the two of us is she's worked in the secondary world a little bit. I've worked in the elementary world, so we can kind of see each other's perspective. But we're pretty wild advocates for our people. But we all know that it's for kids coming together in the system, and so yeah. Do we argue a little bit? There are times, but quite honestly, it's really just it's all for the better outcomes for kids. And so yes, is the answer to that. But
I grew up with two older brothers, and they think very differently, and they would argue all the time. And I would sit and watch them, and I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I would just kind of throw stuff in, and as soon as you said, I'm like, maybe I should do something to get them arguing right now. I have that.
How about this? That's
a fun idea.
Yeah, there's nobody I'd rather argue with more than Eric. So how about that?
Okay. All right. We'll say that for a different podcast. I don't want to get anyone in trouble here, but I'm going to stick with you, Eric, because Tara and you both talked about the value of PLCs, but there is, but also like that doesn't come unless you have like a really strong culture. And I think a lot of people, when they hear the term culture, they think everyone gets along all the time. We all agree with each other, but that doesn't always happen. There has to be some conflict because and you were very adamant, both of you, saying like, hey, our focus is on really helping students. That is the goal of what we're trying to do. So if everyone agrees, but they disagree on the side when no one can talk about it, that doesn't necessarily happen. And, obviously as someone who's, obsessed with this concept right now, writing forward together, how do you build that culture as a school community where people feel valued, but also the opportunity to challenge some things to find the best solutions? How do you do that? How have you seen that happen in your community, Eric?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of it is just providing the space for that. And when we bring teachers together and really we know that the common outcome is that we want best outcomes for kids, for our community. We have a lot of different ideas of what best practice looks like, and it might vary just a little bit from classroom to classroom. But that's kind of the beauty of having a professional learning community is we can look at data at the end and say, hey, how did it turn out? What did you do that worked really well? And what did this other person do that worked really well? And maybe it hits differently for different kids. And so that's kind of the nice thing about having a community of learners where learning's at the center of what we do, that really we're giving space to professionals to come together and say, hey, this is what we're working on. And here's our common outcome. Here's how we approached it.
And when we were talking prior, the term I talked about, innovator's mindset, it's funny because I don't know if you knew the term, but I preferred that you embodied it more than anything because like a lot of people use the term and don't actually do it. But I talk about the concept of competitive collaboration, that we support each other, but we also push each other. That if we're saying, hey, why is this school doing better in some areas, that could the other school go across the way and ask them? And and I don't know, and if I have to cut this out, I don't want to cause any issues here. You talked about the I think it's 2 junior highs in your school, and you're like two school, or what you explain it to me. What was that? It was like 1 community, 2 schools or something like that. Explain that to me, because I really love that concept.
Really proud of this, actually. So, over the past 15 years that we've been a professional learning community, it's the 2 junior highs in our town, very competitive, but really have adopted 1 school, 2 campuses. So really, the outcomes for kids they're all students of ours. But at the end of the day, they attend 2 different campuses, but we all collaborate together. If you go during our collaborative time, our teachers every single week are driving over to 1 school. They're meeting together. They know we're better together. We're stronger as 1 school. But then when we go to teach kids, we go to 2 different campuses. So it's a really neat thing. It's something that we're very proud of, that we're so committed to collaboration that they're willing to meet every single week. Now, at the end of the year, I know they're looking at our profiles on the state reporting system and saying, who's the champion, but ultimately that's just in good fun. That's not really, quite honestly, a lot of the things we did together in the same and moving in the same direction.
So when you say that, and this goes back to what I shared, is that, education hasn't improved in years. When I first started teaching, one of the warning signals I had was, you might get a veteran teacher who says, look, I have done this forever. I'm not just handing my stuff over to you. And that was kind of the notion of what we went into. And that wasn't just at an individual level. It was also at the school level. Schools in the same district would we keep our secrets, because I remember my superintendent talked about it being kingdom building, right? You would build your kingdom and you would never share because you didn't want the other school doing the great stuff that you were doing. Whereas I find it at the individual level, and I was blessed to have a partner said, when I first started teaching, said, hey, here's all my stuff if you ever need help, because just like you, her premise is like, hey, he's got a bunch of kids that I'm not teaching this year, and he's new. I want to make sure those kids are okay. And maybe she was a little bit like, I better give him stuff or he's gonna be in trouble. So I just love that progression that's happened in education. It's where people, of course, I'm competitive too, but I would always help someone who, wanted that help. And I would hope that I would get the same in return. So it's beautiful that you're doing that in your school community. One of the things that I really appreciated about what you were talking about is, I don't want to say your emphasis on PLCs, because I know it's a big part, but how you got to a place where PLCs were very effective. Because I do know some, PLCs are bad. I'm like, well, there's a difference between how they're being implemented. And through the process of what you're talking about, it wasn't just like we saw it at a conference, we started doing it. It was very kind of, and I talked about this before, it's a big thing in Forward Together. I don't feel you were trying to get people to buy in to PLCs. There was an ownership that they built that together. So Tara, walk us through that. Like, how did you get to that place, and why has it been so effective in your school community?
Sure. Yeah. When we first started this, I think 15 years ago or so, there was a group of folks who had heard about PLCs, heard about the DeFors, and wow, this is a kind of a movement. What is this about? Would this be the right kind of approach for our district? How do we go learn more? Well, there was a conference in Phoenix. And so they gathered a group of teachers, a couple administrators, but mainly teachers. And we called them the Phoenix 15. And the Phoenix 15 went to this conference with the whole goal of, let's just go learn. Not we are implementing this, we are doing this. We are just going to go learn and see if it's right for us. So that group of leaders, then teacher leaders, came back and they were on fire. One was from my building. I was building principal at the time. And he was like, this could change how we do things. And then it became a lot of grassroots. And it was like those people so excited. How do we get this done? And then we kind of took that to the building leadership team. So across all of our campuses, and building leadership teams started getting excited. And we brought somebody to come and share more with them. But then a barrier was really the time. And you hear the term PLC light. And a lot of times PLC light means they're just kind of doing it and calling a meeting PLC. Well, PLC, a professional learning community, is actually our culture. It's actually who we are. Our meetings are called collaborative team times. And so like that whole idea of like, where are we going to find the time because we can't ask teachers to answer these 4 questions and really dig into standards and figure out interventions and figure out enrichment and learn how to use data. We can't ask them to do that without time. Okay, fair. So as a result of that, our board got involved, our community got involved. And so we started late starts for secondary teachers and students. And so students don't come until an hour after school starts on Monday morning, still 15 years later. And that's when our teachers know that they have that time set aside. It is a non-negotiable. It is professional learning communities to answer those 4 questions. And our elementary, a late start didn't really work for elementary, so we did an early out 15 years ago, still happening today. So our starting really from grassroots, and then it went to the point of like our school board is like, if you're saying this is that important, we'll make moves on it. Our community supporting it. And now still our teachers sit every week and they take a look at every single student and every single skill and create interventions and create enrichment, because this is also where MTSS or RTI or IDM, whatever you want to call it, comes into play too, because you can't do one without the other, right? And so it's now not initiative of MTSS. It's like PLC, professional learning communities, is the avenue to meet individual students' needs. And it's exciting. You can hear my excitement about it, and how much it has changed our students, and it's changed our staff. You mentioned earlier, just like that idea of we don't teach in isolation. We can't in Cedar Falls. Like, it's not something we can do. It's not a my kids approach. It's an our kids approach. And that is part of change. Professional learning communities has helped impact that culture.
There's so much there that was awesome. I love that. Like, we always talk about influencers, right? Like in social media, things like that. But really in education, it's teachers. It's if you get teachers excited and they have ownership, they help build it. Teachers listen to other teachers. And that's something, is like, if it comes from administrators, it's like, whatever. But if it comes from other teachers, and that's something I've been really focused on. But the other part of it is bring the community together. Obviously, this is something I'm very passionate about in my work. But if you, as an administrator, say this is important, this is not just PLCs, this is anything, you have to provide time, right? Because if you do not provide time, your messaging, no matter what you say, is that it's not that important. Like, if you have to do it on your own time. So I love that that's something that's been built in your culture. So I just love that. So I'm like enthusiastic about it.
Well, and it really does come down to our staff. They're the best out there, and they work so hard. And they also know what our board did. They also understand the gift that is of that time, and they use it, and they use it to really support kids, and it's exciting to see.
I know you're like both. I don't know if you call it central office, right? You both work in central office, but this is like my thing. The role of central office is to remove barriers so people can have more time to teach, not add stuff so people have less time to teach. Because I've seen the opposite, right? Where it is like another thing is coming from them, right? You're trying to move as many barriers as possible. All right. I got one last question that's going to go to both you. And so there's this is going to be a pressure on me because I'm joining you all. I feel like I can only screw things up. So like, am I going to make things worse? It's going pretty well there. So I am honored to be in that room with you. So if I do a good job, and Tara, I'll start with you. If I do a good job on that day with your group, what does that look like to you?
Oh boy, you have pumped our teachers up. You have affirmed the work that they are doing, that they're crushing it in the classroom, but you're also giving them some tools and some skills to know, like, hey, the foundation of what you do for professional learning communities is actually you. It's actually your crew. It's your team. And that healthy and productive team is part of a wildly successful PLC. So how do we effectively work together? How do we say every Wednesday when we come together, someone's not going to have the best data? And how can we leave those egos at the door and say, all right, what did you do, George? Like, let me learn from you. Like, you must have taught that math lesson different than me. That's the whole goal behind it. And so what I hope is that those teachers feel like one, excited and pumped for the new school year because they deserve that. They deserve the world. And two, just some tools and some strategies of being able to say, all right, this is what I can maybe do to make our team even stronger.
And and I love that you all live this. My belief is that everything you want to happen in your district already exists. You just have to bring it to the forefront. Like, and that's that work that you're doing. Okay, Eric, I'm expecting your answer to be better than Tara's. I want a little competition. You need a little crush in this answer. So she did a pretty good one. We'll see what you got. What do you got, Eric?
Yeah, well, George, thanks a lot. One thing I've learned is I don't like to follow Tara. So I don't know if we can edit this. But anyway, no, I appreciate that question, because that is really great. And having the outcome of equipping our teachers with tools to be better in their teams is really the outcome. Before we got on here, you talked a little bit about your book Forward Together and this continuum of helping people be confident in what they're doing. And I think done as a team, I think that's such an important thing, that people are seen and heard for their ideas within the team, because people have things to bring to the table. So having teacher teams have tools to be able to have that space to talk about those things and what they're able to accomplish with kids, recognizing strengths that certain teachers bring. You talked a little bit earlier about someone sharing materials with you. That teacher might have taken those materials, had a great idea, and then had a better outcome for kids. What a cool thing. As long as the teachers have the confidence to be able to share some of the things that they're doing with kids, our kids benefit. And it's such a cool thing. And so if you can create tools and pathways and help us understand, kind of like the title of your book, that we're better forward together, that's really what I hope out of that day. And I'm excited for that.
So I'm looking at the principles, some of the principles I talk about, and this is the principles from the book. I'm like, maybe you should have wrote this. Sure, people feel valued is one of the principles. You're doing a great job. Yep. Learn in a way that you'd expect from students. That's what you're doing your job. Create a vision together is part of your job. Elevate others to see themselves in the story. Like, these are all this is like, I should have just came to your district. It would probably be easier to write. So amazing stuff. I am so pumped to join you all. I love your excitement for your staff and for your community. It is I'm like way more excited than I should be recording this in May. So I don't know if I can hold this excitement for a couple of months, but I'll try my best. But I just want to say thank you for all that you do, not only for community, but for your staff, to really empower them. I think that really matters, but for taking the time to join me on my podcast. So thanks so much. Really enjoyed connecting with you both.
Yeah, thanks, George. We're excited.
All right. Yeah. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
You too.